Go live. Go live. Connect. Okay, we're live on YouTube, and that means we're live on Facebook, and we're going live on LinkedIn as well. Good. Come on, a few seconds. Great. Great. We're live. We're finally live. Right, guys. Everyone, welcome back to Odys Talks. This is episode number 21, I think. Whew, man, been doing this for 21 times. Sorry, a bit sleepy. Anyway, yeah, welcome back to Odys Talks. Naturally, this show is hosted by Odys Global, your one-stop shop for age domains, premium names, and websites, as well as several additional services such as requesting a domain, selling domains, 301 redirects, topic clusters, web hosting, and EEAT audit. So some of those are quite recent, quite new. You can check them out on our website in the services tab. Yeah, and today I'm joined by two great guys. They've been on the show previously separately, and today they're here together. It's Greg Elfrink of Empire Flippers and the infamous Charles Float of Charles Float. Yeah, guys, I know that a lot of people do know you and have heard, at least have heard of you, but please introduce yourselves. Just a couple of words, whatever you want to add about yourselves. Greg, why don't you go first?
Sure. So my name is Greg Elfrink, head of marketing over at Empire Flippers. We're the largest curated marketplace in the world when it comes to buying and selling online businesses. So affiliate sites, e-commerce stores, SaaS, you name it. We have even more esoteric business models than that. And so far, we've done a little bit over 2,000 transactions and helped make 76 millionaires at the time of exit. So that's what I do. I help entrepreneurs make exits and acquire assets.
Cool, and yeah, I'll have some questions for you later, Charles.
Yeah, I'm Charles Float. I've been in SEO for 15 years, coming up to 16 years at this point. I'm currently an SEO consultant, and I've been working on SEO projects and case studies and blogging and contributing various statements to the SEO community for many years at this point. And in general, I try to have a bit more of a focus on the affiliate and e-commerce and kind of Parasite side, more so than like agency and freelancing things these days. I really don't enjoy client SEO as much as I do enjoy working on my own portfolio.
Okay, cool, awesome. So it's time to kick things off.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live
from the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
That is beautiful.
I love it. I love this intro. Yeah. Speaking of Parasite SEO, I mean, I think I'm not the only person on the web that really pretty much directly associates the words Parasite SEO with Charles Float. So that's quite cool, and we've talked about it a bit last time you've been on the show, but this time I really want us to talk about how like implementing Parasite SEO techniques in particular, among other things, can help you build like a strong brand, a strong online business, and then like evolve it to a like really established business that you can ultimately sell on platforms like Empire Flippers. So I would like us to talk about all things associated with that. So yeah, whenever you start a website, right? Whether it's an affiliate website or I don't know, like a brand, whatever you want to do with it. When do you believe is the best moment in time to start applying Parasite SEO?
Yeah.
Maybe Charles, you want to start out there?
Yeah. So I think it's it's basically the ideal scenario for anybody trying to implement Parasite SEO would be from day one, right? But it's all about having capital and analysis of being able to actually know that you're going to be able to rank in the first place, right? So if you go into the SERP and see you've got Amazon number 1 and eBay number 2 and Wikipedia number 3 and things like that, then you know that your own new website isn't going to be able to rank in the SERP anytime soon, and that it's probably going to take something like Parasite SEO to start getting you there. And the fact is that it's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars nowadays, realistically, to set up a website, get it going, get all the content, get links, get PR, get video, short form, long form, all sorts of different assets and things, right? Because realistically nowadays, a lot of niche site building is actually just brand building, right? So you're actually having to build an entire kind of holistic brand rather than doing pure or organic SEO. Whereas Parasite SEO brings you back to just being able to do SEO campaigns. Whereas building an entire website nowadays, like I said, costs money, takes time, is it more of a brand building exercise. With Parasite SEO, you go direct to ranking for the keywords and being able to take rankings or generate traffic. But like I said, the key difference there is being able to know how long and what types of sites it's going to be able to take you to rank, what you'll need to be able to rank, and then being able to figure out that ROI on actually being able to rank in the first place. So if you have a keyword that has 10,000 searches a month and your commission is $100, then you know that building a page for $1,000 and ranking it for a couple $100 worth of backlinks is probably going to lead to a lot of ROI if it actually gets into even the top 5 or top 3 results, right? Let alone the first position, because 1 or 2 commissions per week or per day even can pay back the campaign cost quite quickly. When it comes to actually using it for your own brand, so things like e-commerce, things like lead generation, all that good stuff, I think that it will actually feed into Google's SGE and all that kind of stuff even more, right? So I think it's going to be a requirement, especially for smaller websites that are trying to control the output of what Google is saying in the SGE, that you're going to need to use some form of Parasite SEO on top of what you're already doing, because there's effectively no way to have 5 pages in the SERP from your one website anymore. You're needing to build pages on other websites to be able to control that output, because it's a consensus of those 5 pages minimum in the SERP, right? Realistically, it's a consensus of 10, but if you control 5 pages, you can control the overwhelming consensus of what Google spits out already.
Awesome. So that ultimately plays an essential role in establishing your online business, whatever it is, as a real business. It's an essential part of your eat, right? All right, Greg, when does Warhammer come into play?
Carl's answers should be at the very start of every business, so that way you have no money to grow your business because you have Space Marines.
Yeah. Okay. Just joking. There's a question in our YouTube chat, but we'll get to that later because it tackles a bit different aspect of things. By the way, I encourage you, everyone listening and watching, to ask your questions, whether it's in YouTube chat or Facebook comment section or LinkedIn comment section under below the video. So yeah, make sure to do that. Charles and Greg will be happy to answer your questions, and you might get something out of them that otherwise you'd have to pay a good premium for. All right, yeah. So how do you identify high authority sites to target for, since we're talking about Parasite SEO, to target for Parasite SEO? Yeah, that's probably for Charles again.
Charles I bought Charles's Parasite SEO Gumroad book. Actually, I negotiated with him. Gave him some tips on StarCraft. Gave it to me.
Yeah. Well, so you actually have to start from the back, basically. So instead of finding your keywords and trying to do it that way, what you generally try and find is sites that aren't ranking for your keywords, right? So, but they're topically authoritative for your niche. So some Parasite sites might be really, really good at ranking for casino terms. Some parasites might be really good at ranking for health terms like Sports Illustrated, SI.com. They have an exclusive agreement with Pillar 4, I believe, where they're allowed to produce content. But obviously, because they're Sports Illustrated and because they have a history of 20, 30, 40 years of a real life publication and a DR of nearly 90 and things, then they can effectively rank for anything related to sports or healthcare or medical, and they've been able to do that. Likewise, you just basically need to find, like I said, any website that is topically authoritative in your specific niche. And normally the way that you do that is find other keywords that site's ranking for, but isn't ranking for your website.
Mm-hmm. Oof. It sounds like science. Yeah. And Greg, I think that's going to be for you. When you're analyzing, you and your team are analyzing like sites that have great ROIs, that have that are on the rise, let's say statistically in terms of traffic, sales, whatever it is. What are like some of the critical aspects you pay attention to, and does anything similar to Parasite SEO, since we've been talking about it right now, play a big part in it?
Sure. So those kind of two different genres of questions, right? Like, so let's say answer the Parasite SEO stuff from a M&A perspective here. So I think Parasite SEO is really cool. It's really great. It's been around for a long, long time. Probably will be around for a long, long time more. But while it's awesome from an ROI perspective, like what Charles outlined there, it's less valuable from your valuation perspective. So if you are building out a brand that is primarily getting all this traffic through Parasite SEO, what you really want to do is get that traffic that's coming in onto, say, like an email newsletter, some kind of owned media, because Parasite SEO can go up and down just like normal SEO, right? Like right now, Parasite SEO is winning. Who knows what happens next? But I think it's always valuable. So I'm friends with a lot of SEOs, and Charles and I have both been around long enough that we've seen absolute gargantuan sites just like burn, just go downhill really quickly for esoteric reasons that are sometimes never really clearly defined. So I think it's always important from when you're building a business is to think strategically. Realizing SEO is extremely powerful, but at the end of the day, it's just a marketing channel. And a good business is usually going to be built on multiple channels. Now, at EF, we've sold mostly businesses that one single traffic channel, so it's fine. It's not like you can't sell with that, but buyers tend to like a more diverse business, and you're going to get a better multiple there. As far as the second part of the question, when you're growing the business, this is actually, I think the question is kind of like, how do you make it more valuable? So I'll make this a little succinct. The best time to sell your business is when you're doing the hockey stick growth graph.
Yeah.
And this is also the time when entrepreneurs trick themselves into thinking, I'm just going to wait and I'm going to, there's more juice to squeeze, there's more money on the table. And then suddenly this becomes this, and then it goes like this on the graph, right? And now you're in this valley of stagnation that often leads to a steep decline unless they get like reinvigorated, they pivot or whatever. And usually the most value you're going to get out of your business is on the way up. People are going to be much more willing to buy it at a higher multiple, and it's going to be a faster transaction. So it's always worthwhile when you go to sell your business, ask yourself, is there growth left on the table? If the answer is no, then you might have already passed that peak. You really want to sell the business when there's obvious, clear path to growth still.
Well, just wanted to put my 2 cents in there about the sites, gargantuan sites being burned. It's because they there wasn't Dash around yet. Yeah, just a little shout out to our dude. Yeah. Speaking of the sites that have been burned. Obviously there are techniques to recover them, right? And, well, that's why I mentioned Kesser, because it just he just immediately came to my mind in terms of site recovery. How long does it take for a business owner, site owner, to make the site sellable again? You know what I mean?
After a penalty.
What is it? Sorry, didn't
So,
hear.
how to make the site sellable again after getting hit by a penalty? Is that the
Yeah,
question?
sort of. Yeah. Well, whether it was a penalty or whatever, just its traffic, I don't know, declined due to some Google updates, and because it started stopped getting like as much traffic and getting displayed in the SERPs and stuff. So after that, after this like drastic decline due to whatever reason, I understand that those are there can be different cases and different circumstances, and they affect the site differently in terms of uh, analyzing it for future sale. So could you both guys like tackle situations like that from your own perspectives, like Charles from SEO perspective and like, as an SEO consultant and practitioner, and Greg as a marketer and M&A consultant?
Sure. Charles will probably have a more in-depth answer than me, so I'll go quick. It really depends on the length of the penalty, in my view. So if you have a pretty massive drop in SEO, or even like a light drop for like a month, or just like 2-3 weeks, and you're able to recover, which that does happen, then it's a blip on the radar. You can probably normalize those earnings and still sell it like relatively quickly without too much harm done. There might be a little bit that gets taken off the valuation top, maybe more negotiations, but usually it's going to be okay. If you have a longer steep decline, like say 2, 3, 4 months, that could put your exit several months behind, unless you really want to discount the multiple. Because at the end of the day, a buyer is buying a business based on where it is today and what it has done versus where it might go in the future, or its past peaks and achievements, right? Like that's what a buyer is buying at the end of the day. So that would be my answer. Like if you're able to recover quickly, you're all good. If not, you might have a longer road ahead of you, unless you want to sell at a lower multiple.
Okay, Charles.
Yeah, so I agree. I basically would say that if you experience any sort of a large traffic drop off, whether it's a penalty, an argument kit, an update, whatever it is, then you generally are going to have to sell it for a lower multiplier, unless you have some sort of recovery action plan that's in action, right? That you can convince the investor or the buyer that it's actually going to work and that you can get success from that. However, for example, if you're going to sell a website for a 33 to 36x multiplier, if you suddenly just had a 40%, 50% loss in traffic, the investor's probably going to want to buy it for like a 23 to 25x multiplier instead of that 33, 36x. So it's unfortunate, and a lot of people do just end up selling because they get scared. And you'd be surprised at how many people buy recovery services from me, and they're like, and they spend several $1,000s on recovery services, and the first question is, so do you think this is recoverable? Like, well, why are you buying services if you didn't think it was recoverable in the first place? Like,
We'll find out.
This is probably
very
expensive way to find out, exactly. So I would always say that yes, your website is recoverable, right? Unless you've gone to the extreme where you've experienced some like hack for 2 years and the hackers have been spamming Google nonstop for that entire time. That might have actually burned your domain name. But the 99.99% of the cases where people are freaking out about their site losing traffic and that they're never going to get it back again, you can get it back again, right? Like there's various ways to get it back, and I always say to people that if you are just reliant on Google traffic and you're just reliant on this singular source of income, then diversify, because that's investment rule number 1, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and then you won't get burned as bad when they all get crushed in the inevitable dropping of said basket, right? So I would always make sure that you try and diversify and are just following along with what the best practices are, right? And don't listen to Google necessarily on their best practices, because what they're saying is what they want to see in the SERPs and what they want to see their AI ambitions achieve, and not what is actually the reality of what is happening in the SERPs. And you see it all the time on SEO Twitter at the moment and the industry and things. Search liaison on Google Search Liaison just getting rinsed at the moment on like SEO, Twitter and things by everybody, because what they say doesn't correlate with what's actually happening in the SERPs. And then a lot of the time what they're saying on Twitter doesn't even correlate with what they're saying in their guidelines. So it doesn't actually kind of go one in one, and then people are just really confused. And if you're just some random business owner that owns a website and you're earning $100,000 a month off of SEO traffic, and you're looking at all of this online and like reading the documentation and looking at Twitter and things like that, you'd probably be pretty scared because it's very like unwavering on like I can't remember the exact word for it right now, but it's kind of it just makes you feel like nervous about the situation because they just continually change the narrative of what needs to happen. And the easiest example is with AI content, right? So literally this time last year, AI content was banned, completely banned from Google, right? It wasn't allowed. It was spammy. It was black hat. It's against the guidelines, right? Then 3 months later, Google was like, actually, human edited AI content is allowed. And then 3 months after that, they're like, actually, AI content is allowed, but it has to be helpful. And then actually 3 months after that, we're going to use AI ourselves to implement it into the SERPs and summarize everyone's content that we said was illegal in the first place.
And then
I think
after the helpful content, it turns out it didn't need to be helpful.
Exactly. Turns out that most of the signals aren't even to do with the content. and then people get really obsessed with the EAT signals. And like in their documentation, it talks a lot about making sure your author is this and all sorts of things like that. And then today on Twitter, they're like, actually, none of that matters. So it is quite a confusing time if you are listening to kind of a lot of the industry right now, because it seems to just be moving goalposts. Whereas if you actually look at the core fundamentals of the industry over the last 10 years, not a huge amount has changed. Right? Like you just need to build quality content that's topically authoritative and topically relevant and clustered and things like that. And then have a fundamentally trusted foundation of links. So all social profiles, that kind of stuff. And then just links to power the pages that require them. And that's basically it, right? There's not a huge amount of additional work on top of that. Yes, you've got your schema and your technical stuff like that. But even Core Web Vitals is less important than it was. So I just want to try and make sure that everybody at home is kind of slightly reassured in the sense that they don't need to be overthinking a lot of this stuff. And that's probably what is leading to a lot of people's downfall, is if they just kept to a simple model, they would have seen a lot more success than trying to do this overcomplicated. And there's no cohesion as well, basically, because they're trying all these different tactics, all the different times. It's shiny object syndrome, essentially, where you're just trying these advanced different styles of SEO and techniques and tactics and things all the time, and there's no cohesion and it looks really unnatural to Google, and that's what gets you slapped in the end as well.
I just want to add
Sure.
a thing on what Charles said there that I think is very important, and I think a lot of our SEO friends like never think about it. I've been screaming from the pulpit for years that people should diversify their traffic. Like once you start building a real brand, like SEO, I absolutely love SEO. Like at EF, the vast majority of our leads come through SEO. I actually just got a site audit from Charles Floate and got a compliment from the old god of SEO on it. It's like I love SEO, but at the same time, I know it's someone else's sandbox, right? That's why I spend so much time building out our email list and our newsletter and trying to find other traffic sources. I think it's very important for a business not to be reliant on a single traffic source. And I think SEOs in particular, because it is such an infinite rabbit hole, especially right now with like, what Charles is saying, with so many people saying conflicting things, like they never think outside of SEO. And to Charles' point, SEO really is just good content and good backlinks. And that's like 80-90% of it. That's it. So I would say double down on diversifying traffic sources. Very, very smart move, and you'll sleep better at night.
It adds to your value as well, right? So like your email list, your social profiles, all of this stuff, even pixel data at one point was like a currency, basically.
Yes, it was. Yeah. I knew people renting their pixels in this heyday for thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, literally, like it was crazy, right? So and in some cases that was like bigger than the ads were getting them in terms of
for sure.
it was 100%. Crazy. So so I completely think that people need to, like I said, think out the box and just try and get out of this SEO bubble that people put themselves in and try and think of it too much.
Oh, for sure. Move more into the holistic marketer realm. Like Charles and I both know a lot of SEOs are insanely good at SEO, but they're pretty bad at marketing. But like putting on the graduating the marketing hat, I think most people make more money that way versus just focusing purely on SEO.
Yeah.
Speaking of conflicting things on Twitter in particular right now, I mean, I had a period when I used to entertain myself by checking out comments to John Mueller's tweets. Oh man, the crusades over there. It was fun. Yeah. So yeah, I totally with you guys on that. A lot of other guests of Odys talks were saying a lot of similar things. And yeah, so yeah, even who was it? I think it was Azadine did when I was recording the podcast episode back this February, I think. Yeah, this was one of the key takeaways. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So because yeah, when you're doing SEO or in particular, yeah, you want to build a business, you want to earn from it, and since it's so like fluid and you can't predict things, like something can happen tomorrow and your site can go down just to the depths of Moria,
And
And
I also want to say a lot of the SEO lessons that you learn apply really, really well to those other channels as well.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So a lot of social media is literally just your thumbnail, right? And just making sure that you have a really high CTR thumbnail so that you get a lot of organic traction on when you share the posts. A lot of YouTube is just the video, the thumbnail, and the title, and making sure that the quality of the content is high and the engagement rate, etc., etc., etc. Right. So it's essentially the same kind of things that you're doing with SEO, just with heavier user engagement metrics than with SEO itself. So just try and make sure that whatever you're applying into SEO, you're also thinking that, yes, I can apply it to everything else that I'm doing, like you said, with the whole holistic approach to digital marketing. And there's also, if Google's just going to burn everybody, like this is the thing, right? If Google just says tomorrow, fuck it, we're going to use AI for everything, we're going to scrape everybody's site, we're going to summarize everything, nobody's getting any traffic, 0 click searches for everybody, which, to be fair, is their right, and they could do it. You know what I mean? It's completely fair on them to do it. I'm a business enthusiast, I'm a capitalist. I believe that they can do that. It's totally up to them, right? And it's their choice. So if they are going to do that, then I also believe that we can use the SEO learnings and SEO abilities that we have to just transition into other platforms that are far easier than Google, and that actually are probably going to generate higher levels of return on investments. So the highest paid consultants I've been speaking to in SEO this year and last year weren't working on Google. They weren't working on anything to do with generating website traffic. They were working on Amazon SEO because they could, if you can rank a product on Amazon for a business and say, hey, look, I can guarantee you that if we spend $10,000 over the next 3 months to rank this product and you pay me $10,000, then this product is going to generate $1 million a month in sales, literally just from ranking for these keywords. So those kind of people who have been able to generate a business out of that have been far exceeding the earnings of most SEO consultants in Google right now. And I think that speaks volumes to how complicated Google made it, how much hard work it is to kind of put in that work, all that kind of stuff, and just how kind of Google is taking away a lot of the reward that you would get in the first place for producing that. And I think Google's forgetting that its entire content base and all this AI data and everything is fed by those users creating that high level of content. And that if we do all just leave and just spam the hell out of it, that they don't really have much left underneath the surface.
Yeah. I have a friend. He I'm forgetting his name. I think you know him too, Charles.
A friend, huh?
I see him every now and then at conferences, and he always tells me he loves that. So he does a lot of SEO, but he also optimizes for Pinterest traffic. And he's like, I've never been hit once in all these years with Pinterest traffic. Just keeps on growing and growing. It makes me sometimes wonder why I'm even doing this Google thing anymore. So yeah, optimizing for other platforms will always be a thing. To Charles' point, I agree with that.
Yeah. That's actually what I was thinking while Charles was talking. few episodes back, we had Hasib Alich. Alich. I don't remember how his last name is pronounced. From elviral.com, and well, he's got like his company has got a portfolio of affiliate sites and niche sites, and most of their traffic is generated through Pinterest. Yeah, and he's been sharing a lot of it on his Twitter lately. So yeah, there are definitely other traffic sources aside from Google. Before we head on to viewer questions, I wanted to ask Charles one more thing. Let's roll things back a little to site recoveries. I just wanted to ask you to share like some really uh, a true, pardon my French, mind fuck experience without like calling names or sites, just some I don't know, some issue that you've been like puzzling over for longer than you've expected or have before or after that. Did you have anything like that? I think you did because you've been around for a long time.
Yeah, like we've had some things that don't make sense, right? So I think that a lot of stuff around certain meta tags, Google just treats really weirdly, and that sometimes it's slightly schizophrenic on how its algorithm treats them. So a lot of stuff around hreflang, a lot of stuff around canonical tags and things like that just break down Google's algorithm for some reason and really fuck with their indexing. And I think it's a lot of it is to do with the fact that it's all of this geolocation stuff where 99% of crawls are coming from the US Mountain View servers, and that it's going to then potentially have different effects if it's loading up servers in different countries and all sorts of things, right? Because of geo locks and geo grids and all sorts of different things that are happening now with security and stuff. I in terms of just mind fuck stuff, there's tons and tons of things that have happened in SEO that I'm just like, how did this happen? And it's taken like years of trying to reverse engineer things, and it still doesn't make sense. But then I think it's because it's slightly hit and miss, and I don't know if a lot of people say that Google has something in their algorithm that just makes it hit and miss, basically. So they have something in their algorithm which just makes pages have some weird effect if they think that you have enough triggers. So let's say you've gone and built all these links, you built these pages, you built everything out. If you've built enough negative signals, so enough signals that could be potential triggers to Google's algorithm, those triggers can cause your pages to act very weirdly in a way that you wouldn't have expected it to, right? And then if you start doing work on top of them, those can then be even more triggers, which can actually damage the work that you thought that was going to help it in the first place, right? So it can actually be this scenario where you're trying to fix a problem that you created in the first place by doing that work, but you didn't mean to. So now you're just inevitably making it even worse. So the
snowballing.
Exactly, yeah, you're just snowballing the issue. So that's why I'm so sensitive to making sure that we kind of de-trigger all of our campaigns, and we make sure that our campaigns look as natural as possible, even if we are manipulating links and content and signals and things like that. It still, from Google's eyes, looks very organic, and brand new websites have very low link velocity, very high content publishing frequency, things like that, right? So it's kind of the reverse of the traditional black hat mindset, but still using black hat SEO, basically. Right. And it all reinforces each other.
How to do SEO is it depends.
Yeah. That meme where you just slap "it depends" on everything. Right?
That is the ultimate unofficial SEO slogan.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the questions we have so far are Garrett Graff is asking, Greg, what's the biggest mistake a business owner can make when they're planning to sell a business valued around $5 million?
Well, I'd say they would be. By the way, hi Garrett. Nice to see you here. I would say the biggest mistake is doing too much experimentation when you're getting closer to that sell. So as you're like 12 months from exiting, should really be talking to a broker or some kind of exit planner. Even if you plan on selling it yourself without using one, like usually like you can come to us, we'll do it for free with you to help you guide through it, whether you use this or not. But in general, like doing too much stuff leading up to the exit, I've seen destroy the exit. So an example would be like spending $50,000 on a untested Google AdWords campaign that just absolutely tanks, right? Doing big product launches that you don't really need to do right now. Like you should still be like trying to grow the business as you get closer to the exit, but you're moving more into maintenance mode. So you're not doing anything unduly risky. You don't want to risk what you built as you get closer and closer to that exit, because buyers might negotiate harder down on you when you do stuff like that. The other big mistake I see, and this is extremely common, pretty much like most entrepreneurs that submit their business for sell with us have this issue, and that's their profit and loss statement. It's the one thing most of us are not very good at, because most entrepreneurs, at least in our space, tend to be highly creative more than like in the books and their actual like QuickBooks or whatever. But I see people do a lot of cash basis accounting. Now on a $5 million deal, if you're doing cash basis accounting instead of what is known as accrual, that could literally be the difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So even seven figures. I've seen it go as high as 2 million in terms of a difference valuation, just because it was in cash base versus accrual. So there's usually all sorts of issues in your P&L, and it's really good to get that fixed before you go to the buyer. A good thing to always know is when a buyer signs an LOI, an NDA, or whatever the system is, if they unlock a business on EF, your business will never look as good as it did before they did that. Like they're going to find mistakes. There's going to be errors. It's just like the nature of the world, right? So you want to make your P&L as airtight as possible. And usually that's where I see the biggest like glaring mistakes. Usually nothing nefarious, is like the seller didn't think about it. Like, oh, that makes sense. So hiring a good bookkeeper or having a trusted advisor on you to help you with that is extremely helpful.
Okay. Thank you. Charles, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think Greg did a great job, to be honest, of covering everything there. I think the only thing that I'd probably add, I think the only thing that would probably I'd add is the business model, right? So it depends on what business model it is. I've been speaking to a lot of people recently that like, oh, I wanna make a SaaS because the SaaS multipliers are so high. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what happens when you sell a SaaS business versus what happens when you sell an affiliate site, right? So when you sell an affiliate website, you transfer the site within a day, and then they send you a couple of emails, and that's it, right? When you sell a SaaS, you work for like months and months transferring your team, transferring ownership, making sure their marketing is transferred, making sure every API is connected, that there isn't issues with customer support. There's so much additional stuff that you have to do when you're actually transferring different types of businesses that people don't really take that into account when it comes sale time. And a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm going to sell my business tomorrow and then I can go on holiday. And that's not really fully how it works. Most of the time, there is a lot of work that you need to do after the fact as well. So try and take that into consideration when you're also kind of taking into consideration that profit and loss, that you might be getting a massive payday, but there might be also, another couple of 100 hours of work after the fact that you need to take into consideration when you're seeing how much you've actually.
That is an extremely important point, Charles. A lot of people don't think about that, but basically when you sell your business or buy a business, the moment that transaction is complete, you are now temporary business partners with that buyer or seller. Like it takes a bit, so you better like the guy you sold to and not just take the highest bidder. Because if the guy you're working with is a total dick, like your life is about to be miserable, especially in the SaaS scenario, because you might have like a multiple year earnout, all sorts of stuff going on. Real quick on the SaaS, like one of the like easiest things that smaller SaaS people miss out on is the payment processor. I've like they'll use something like I think PayPal used to be a big offender of this. I think they still are. Maybe Stripe, though they might have fixed this. But your payment processor for your SaaS, you need to make sure that that's transferable to the new owner. So if you're a SaaS owner right now listening to this and you have people paying you, reach out to that payment processor like, hey, if I sold this business, can I transfer everyone that's signed up right now? Because if the answer is no, that means the buyer needs to get everyone to sign back up again, right? And this could obviously cause some major issues. So that's one of the things to watch out for SaaS. There's a lot of other issues with SaaS, like if you're just thinking like, oh, I'm going to get a big multiple because I'm making a SaaS, like people forget that like SaaS can become extremely out of date very quickly. You got VCs with hundreds of millions of dollars suddenly competing with you overnight.
Hmm.
MRR isn't as juicy as people think it is. Like, it's very good, don't get me wrong, but it's not this panacea. Like, we just saw Jasper, which was like a massive SaaS,
Yeah.
basically, with the AI world, get destroyed by AI at record time. Like Icarus with their wax wings. So if you're building SaaS just for the big multiple, I'd watch out. There's a lot more traps in there than people might let you onto.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Garrett, for the question. Next set of questions comes from Johannes Faupel. How good are chances now to rank topics on LinkedIn, or is it better to go on Medium? Are there any general rules for these kinds of pages right now? So this is the set of questions. Any thoughts, guys?
Yeah, so it's for free parasites basically. So LinkedIn Pulse versus Medium as a parasite. LinkedIn Pulse is probably the best free parasite at the moment. Google hasn't hit it with any of the updates really. I think it's like a 10% loss or 20% loss, but that's against 100 million visits a month that it's seeing right now or something, right? So it's minimal on what you're actually seeing, and I think that there's only a handful of rules anyway that you need to be following with it. A lot of it is how you're formatting your content. A lot of it is making sure that you've got your rich media in there. For some reason, a lot of people seem to just be creating posts that are just walls of text and then there's nothing else, right? I'm like, you can actually format your LinkedIn posts into really awesome pages that have like buttons and all sorts of things for CTA and that actually look really good. And that when you rank them have got a lot higher CTR and things like that, so that you actually start earning considerably higher. And a lot of people don't seem to consider that might actually play into if they rank in the first place. That the quality of your page plays into how well you rank, right? And that not adding all of that stuff. I'm going to add it when it ranks. I'm like, well, no, that's not really how it works. You need to add it before it ranks so that it ranks in the first place, because that's part of the quality score of the page. Right?
All right. Thank you, Greg. Do you have anything to add to that?
I agree with Charles. I don't know which one's stronger, but I think that makes sense what Charles said. I think Charles also recommends like to choose a parasite, find the one that's already ranking, and try to do that one in your niche, which I think is good advice because Google is kind of giving you the clue, right? But yeah, I think what Charles says is perfect.
Awesome. Thank you for your answers, Johannes. Thank you for the questions. And by the way, yeah, nice seeing you around. A few more comments from a YouTube chat. The only sure, Craig Bonnyman is saying the only sure thing regarding Google is that they will always welcome advertisers.
That's right. That is true.
And Antonio Luis is saying with a lot of exclamation marks, framework on recovering sites, please. I guess that's a totally different topic. I mean, a separate topic for a separate conversation. Or I don't know, if you want to like give like a short snippet on that, go on.
It depends.
There it is. The SEO slogan. It shows up again. Without fail.
All right, guys. Then let's move on to the live blueprint thing. I asked you to take a look at an Odys domain and then share your thoughts about it. I'll share it on my screen in a second. Where is it? Here it is. So we're gonna check out zerokeyboard.com. Sorry for zebras. Zerokeyboard.com. As you can see, it's recommended by Jason Mills. And if you log into the Odys marketplace, you can check out his video blueprint and get in touch with him for a strategy consultation. In short, about the domain's metrics. It's in the marketing industry, 9 years old domain, in English, DR35, 351 referring domains, and 6 authority links, including aller.com, cbinsights.com, pcmag.com, redherring.com, appadvice.com, eustartups.com. Previously hosted a website that offered a platform for maximizing sales velocity through data transparency, including CRM data entry, lead generation from business cards, event management, and mobile CRM. So this is what the domain looks like in short. So guys, how would you use this domain in case you owned it? How would you monetize it? Would you monetize it in the first place, or would you build like your own brand based on this domain? Whatever you think is best in terms of this domain use. Go on, guys. Don't be shy.
You want me to go first, Charles, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first, dude.
Dang, I was going to reflect my answer based on what Charles said. Charles go first. Classic mistake. So one, I like the domain name a lot, Zero Keyboard. So I was looking at this before the call. I would try to do something around that concept of what could Zero Keyboard mean as a brand. I like building brands, like media companies, stuff like that. I think that's really powerful. So Zero Keyboard, with it being related to the CRM and sales velocity, all that kind of stuff, I would try to take an angle of as a media site that helps you use technology as your way to delegate versus employees. So I look at different ways you can use technology to automate multiple different processes in your business. All the classic SEO stuff. I would try to like talk about CRMs, review different tools, all that kind of stuff. But I would also try to really grow a Twitter following. I think this would be a good site for someone to kind of sit at the helm on Twitter with, if they have a good personality and charismatic. And I would turn the site into just a massive media company for how to delegate your business more using technology. Like, I think that is an extremely hard thing to do, by the way. I don't think the site would make it easy, but that's where I like lean towards with the brand name. And I think ultimately you could probably sell consulting or courses and stuff like that on how to actually combine these entire technologies together. There's a really interesting agency I saw. I'm forgetting their name. If you Google them, I'm sure they show up, unless they got hit because their content wasn't very helpful, which has been happening a lot lately. But they're an agency that literally just helps you set up ClickUp for your business. Like, they're not affiliated with ClickUp, like they're partners and stuff, obviously, but they're not like the same company at all. And that's the only thing they do is like how to delegate your business better using this very specific project management software. And I would probably start off with Zero Keyboard doing something similar, like some software that's big enough that I can kind of attach to and go really, really deep in with, while keeping with the brand consistency, and then over time expand out from there.
Cool. Thanks, Charles.
Yeah, so I really like the brand name as well. And if it wasn't so heavily associated with the CRM world and things like that, because it's Zero Keyboard, I would have gone down the path of doing it for peripherals for disabilities. So there's some seriously high-end keyboards and mouses and things like that, and all sorts of like wheelchair attachments and stuff for using IT equipment and things like that. And a lot of them are really expensive, and they're available on Amazon. So you can get Amazon affiliate programs for them. I think it depends on which category it's in, because they're in various different categories, because obviously it can be like vehicle attachments, because technically electric wheelchairs are classed as like vehicles and things like that. It could be IT peripherals and stuff, right? So you're dealing with various different percentages, but because the actual of Amazon, commissions, but because the various products are very high end and high ticket, the average like disabled keyboard or the average disability based keyboard is like $150, $200, something like that. And then the more the more wheelchair based attachments and all that kind of stuff is actually goes to be even more high end. So some of the stuff that I was researching around things that you can get computer attachment. So it's basically a computer that attaches to your wheelchair and has a screen and has like a built-in keyboard and mouse and thing that like attaches to the side of your temple that like reflects the brain nerve here that like allows you to use the computer and things. And those are like $5,000, but they're on Amazon and stuff like that. So there's tons of stuff around that. But unfortunately, the brand is already associated with CRMs and stuff. So I can't go down.
Pivot would be though.
Exactly. I can't go down my goddamn route of that. So I love that route, even though I can't go down it. So the route that I would actually go down from my brain and not my heart would be the CRM niche. Surprise, surprise. Matching the exact niche that it already is in, basically. So I would build out a CRM site. So I think a lot of people think that like best CRM and stuff is really competitive. You're dealing with sites like HubSpot and things that you're going to be competing with all the time, and that you're never going to get any traffic. I think that's actually not really the case. When I started researching tons of all these CRMs and stuff, there's about 30 or 40 CRMs that I found that are fairly small in terms of their current customer size, but their review traffic, so company name plus review or plus reviews, has got 500, 600, 800, 900 monthly search volume, and the affiliate commission on all of these CRM programs are all monthly recurring commissions. So it's going to just continually scale over time if you can rank them. And I think that it's actually easier to rank a lot of the keywords that are on there. So Jason on his video already went over some like best CRM for small hotels and best CRM for recruitment and photographers and real estate and things like that. And I think that those were probably some pretty good ones. And there's even smaller ones that you can go down to have the whole roundups. But I would actually go more so down the route of just covering as many CRMs in terms of the individual reviews as I can as possible, because there's a real lack of sites that are doing that, and that a lot of the sites that are ranking, for example, there's a site ranking best CRM for photographers. It's a DR27, but it's a photography website, right? There's certain niche websites that are niche to that niche that are ranking quite well for there, but they're quite low DR. And I think if you did use some Parasite SEO on top of using this domain or something like that, you probably knock them out of the SERP as well, and potentially rank twice in one SERP on top of it, right? So there's all of that. And then I was also saying that even if you don't necessarily go down the route of ranking those specific CRM review pages and best CRM pages, there's so many guides and informational queries around using CRMs or trying to get CRM troubleshooting even, or CRM errors and all of that kind of stuff, where there's keywords that combined have 1 million search volume and things like that, right, in those niches. And because they're CRM focused, the RPMs of that niche are really high. So and the traffic is, a lot of the traffic is tier 1 countries as well. So you combine those two aspects and you don't even need to have affiliate products ranking and affiliate reviews and best product reviews. You just have ads on the site and you rank purely off the fact that you're getting $40, $50 RPMs. So I think that because the site has a consistent domain history, fairly good entity, great brand name, and it's already niche focused, and Google already kind of topically topically relates the domain to CRMs, I would just go down the route of doing that CRM niche. Either I would monetize it with affiliate programs or ads, or both.
Okay. Cool.
Just one thing more I'd add on there. I like that idea a lot, the like CRM for photographers and stuff, but something that came to my mind is also talks about sales velocity. Like if you're looking for a software to go deep on, if you want to go that route, or even if just review one, you could look at software like Gong and Chorus. So they're basically competitors that all they do is talk about sales velocity, and they integrate into CRMs. I believe you might be able to use it as your own like basic CRM too. But like that's their whole thing, what it's about. I don't see many sites talking about them like outside of the actual marketers that work for those companies. So there's 2 for you to start with if you buy Zero Keyboard.
Yeah, and also to add to it a little bit more as well, a lot of people say, so a lot of people ask me, number one, how do I create topically relevant content that I can internally link and that is part of the cluster and things to a product or a company review, right? And they're like, there's nothing that I can really create in terms of pages and posts other than the review of the company itself and maybe a guide of it, right? And I think that's not very creative in the first place, because there's normally plenty of stuff that you can do, right? So you can do company profiles, you can do executive profiles, you can do founding, you can do history, you can look into controversies of the business, you can do look into PR, look into product launches. You can look into all sorts of different things surrounding a company that you can create pages that all of the competitors in that SERP haven't created those pages, haven't got the topical authority haven't got the additional internal links, all of that kind of stuff as well. And if you just are a bit more creative around it, then you can outrank a lot of those competitors without having to buy loads of links or without having to spend a fortune on tons of content and things. You just need to be a bit more creative around the supporting content that you're going to build towards it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Charles. Thanks, Greg, for sharing your thoughts. There you have it. If you gotten interested in zerokeyboard.com, you can access it by clicking the link in the description box. If you're not yet registered with the Odys marketplace, there's another link that'll take you to the landing page where you'll be able to get access. There's one more question in the YouTube chat from Ray H. Charles, you mentioned doing e-commerce SEO to promote a product on Amazon. Can you share a link or two to an article on that? Thanks.
Yeah, so there's a guy on YouTube. If you just search Amazon SEO, he's called like the Amazon guy or something like that.
Oh,
He
I know
has
that
some
guy.
really
He's great.
yeah, he is great. He has some really, really detailed research. So the current Amazon algorithm is called the A10 Amazon algorithm, right? He's got a ton of research into that, speaking with Amazon execs, speaking with sellers, going in seller dashboards and looking at products, doing single variable testing where they change a keyword of the title and see how it would change the rankings, stuff like that. And he's got some really, really great stuff on that.
Yeah, he's good. Some of his, I believe he has a bunch of different courses, but I'm pretty sure some of his clients or his like FBA agency have actually sold their businesses with us. So that's always a good sign if you're looking for someone to trust.
Amazon guy.
Yeah.
All right. There you have your answer, Ray. All right, we're about to wrap things up. So, Greg, Charles, you both are going to be at CMSEO, right?
Yes,
but
awesome.
not in the same room. Charles and I
we're actually the same person.
Yeah, well, Charles, don't reveal it, man.
Yeah, damn it.
Awesome. Yeah, will be awesome to see you there. Greg, will we have a Dungeons and Dragons session over there?
Of course, man.
So.
Once Odys is on the EF marketplace selling, like I think that's the least you deserve.
Amazing. All right. And Charles, you're hosting SEO stream on December 1st, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So just go to SEO.stream. Amazing domain name, I know. And you can get access to the stream there. It's an online live stream, but we have a live studio in London where we have 9 speakers flying in and a bunch of sponsors and stuff flying in as well. So we've got a ton of presentations and stuff that we live stream from London on December 1st.
Awesome. And where can people find you online in case they're not yet subscribed to you guys?
You can find me just on Facebook or LinkedIn. We have a company Twitter account, or you can shoot me an email, greg@empireflippers.com.
Yeah, you can go to my website, charlesfloattraining.com or charlesfloat.com. You can also add me on Twitter /X @Charles_SEO, and my LinkedIn is just my name, Charles Float.
Awesome. Amazing. All right, let's wrap things up. Make sure to be here next Wednesday. I'm going to be joined by Nick Jordan of FatGraph and Thomas Smale of FE International. So yeah, I don't know. That just happened to be around. So yeah, make sure to be there. We'll talk more about building and selling businesses, doing great SEO, and applying useful and effective techniques to your sites. So yeah, it was an awesome conversation, guys. Really enjoyed every minute of it. Hope you did too.
Absolutely. So, when you see Thomas next week, ask him if he has my FE shirt. Always threatening him with giving him an
I will.
All right. So hi from me as well. All right. Thank you for having me as well, dude.
Awesome. See you around.